US 75. Alright. Alright, this will be a supercut of part 1 and part 2 going northbound on US 75. It goes from Dallas, Texas to the Canadian border near Noyes, Minnesota. Do everything you see in the lower left hand corner, so like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And let's get started. 75 northbound. So here we are approaching downtown Dallas. We have an intersection with I-30. For some reason, I-30 has no control cities. I don't know why we don't get 30 West Fort Worth, 30 East Texarkana, 30 East Little Rock, 30 East Memphis. I don't know, something here. Not sure why we don't have anything there, but we do have 75 north for McKinney. This is actually the start of Interstate 345. However, it is unsigned, but with one quick fix, now it is. Alright, continuing on, we have a spectacular view of downtown Dallas. This is one of the best views you can get while driving around it. It goes pretty much like right through downtown. And looking towards the right, we can see a little bit of Deep Ellum over here. And continuing on, we're meeting the Woodall-Rogers Freeway, and now we have it's time for 2 Interstate 35E for Waco and Denton. I will touch on those control cities whenever I do I-35 in Texas. But for now, we do have a 75 north for McKinney. And as we continue, we meet the Northwest Highway, Highway 12 here, and we get a laundry list of exits coming up. And here we are meeting Interstate 635, and 75 North is still signed for McKinney. So I talked about this in the 635 video about McKinney, and just to reiterate, I don't understand why McKinney is signed. It is a large suburb of Dallas. But if you're going to sign a large suburb of Dallas, you should sign Plano, because Plano is larger and arguably more famous than McKinney. I know McKinney is the county seat of Collin County, and I imagine that's why it's signed. But yeah, this should probably be Plano instead of McKinney here. Here we are meeting the High 5 interchange. This is the interchange with 75 and 635. Much better view going on 75 than on 635. Like we saw in the 635 video. Much more impressive going this way. Here we are meeting the President George Bush Turnpike, and also the Sam Rayburn Tollway just ahead. And here we are in McKinney. We are now signing 75 North Sherman, which I think is a decent choice because this is the largest thing between McKinney and Tulsa. And signing Tulsa would be, like, I mean, it would be cool, but I don't think Texas or Oklahoma is going to keep up with Tulsa all the way. So I think something like Sherman is okay, since it's a pretty big North Texas city. And it's bigger than some of the other, like, sizable towns in, like, Oklahoma that we're going to meet. So I think Sherman's okay here. Here we are meeting US 380 is signed for Greenville for eastbound and Denton for westbound. Denton definitely makes a lot more sense to be on 380 than on 35E, so pretty good sign here. Greenville's where you meet I-30, so I like that. Here we are in Melissa. We have another pull through for Sherman, as well as Texas Highway 121 for Bonham. And here's a look at the Buc-ee's Melissa. Couldn't find a lot of interchange or mileage signs along the way, but here's one I found. We're signing north for Sherman still, which makes some sense. Here we are meeting US 82 for Bonham and Gainesville. And from US 82, we're signed for Dallas for southbound and Denison for northbound. I mean, in any case, I would be like, okay, Texas being provincial, this is the last city in Texas. But Denison is pretty big still. I mean, not as big as Sherman, but still pretty big. And it's bigger than Durant and, like, a lot of the cities we're going to see in Oklahoma. So I think this one's also okay. And here's one mileage sign I could find. We have Denison 5 and Durant 22. So Durant is signed after Denison. And we get an overhead sign for Durant in Denison itself. And here is a pull through of 69 and 75 as we are concurrent with northbound 69 as we meet southbound 69 right here. Here we're crossing the Red River into Oklahoma. And just past it, we get a welcome to Oklahoma sign. At random interchanges in Oklahoma, we are signed 69 and 75 north for Durant still. And here's a mileage sign. We have Calera 5, Durant 10, and McAllister 86. And here's a look at the Choctaw Casino Resorts. And once we're in Durant, we have 6975 north for Durant and Tulsa, as well as 70 West Medill, 70 East Hugo. Durant and Tulsa, I actually do think this is a good time to sign Tulsa, because, I mean, from Durant to Tulsa, there's not really a lot of big places along the way. McAllister's kind of big, but that's on 69. And McAllister is where you make the turnpike, so I think after Durant it should be like McAllister, Tulsa. I think that would be good. We have a list of Durant exits. We have West Main Street, University Boulevard, and Washington Avenue. Durant is mostly signed because of the university, as well as the Choctaw Casino Resort. So I think that's why I'm mostly okay with signing Durant here. However, north of Durant, we don't get McAllister or Tulsa sign. We have Atoka, which is kind of important because that's where 69, 79 split, 75 rather, but why is it Atoka and not, I don't know, McAllister, Tulsa, something? But at another interchange, we do at least get McAllister signed. So now we have Caddo 7, Atoka 26, McAllister 70. So it is treating McAllister as the primary, which, I mean, I kind of understand because that's where you meet the turnpike, but I really think they should mention Tulsa. If they have it on that last overhead, they should at least mention on the mileage signs. And now we get Atoka 18, McAllister 63, and Muskogee 126, which is another city on US 69. I know US 69 doesn't go to Tulsa, but it's kind of weird that it's being treated as the main route here and not 75, which this is an X5 US highway. So, yeah, I don't know. This should be Atoka, McAllister, Tulsa, not Atoka, McAllister, Muskogee here. In our next mileage sign, we don't even get Muskogee. We get Atoka, Stringtown, McAllister. Like, they can't even sign Muskogee or Tulsa? Like, come on. And, okay, and to keep it up, we have McAllister on this sign, but what is this horrible font? What is up with this font? I mean, it's not the worst I've seen, but holy, like, why is the C just so much smaller than the rest of the letters here? I understand why the C is smaller, but, like, why is it, like above, like, why is it, like, on top but not on the bottom here? And, I don't know, this weird-looking number font, too, and this letter font, I don't know what to do about this. And when 75 and 69 split, we do get McAllister, Tulsa for 69, so that's good because McAllister is where you meet the turnpike, and that's the fastest way to Tulsa. And then 75 north and State Highway 3 is signed for Colgate and Ada. I think those are okay. Ada, I think, works just because it is kind of a bigger city in Oklahoma. There's not really much else on 75 between here and I-40, so I think this is okay here. And we do have a mileage sign for those cities, as well as another reassurance sign. We have 75 State Highway 3 for Ada still. And when they split, 75 north is signed for Calvin. I don't really like that too much. I know that's where you meet US 270, but it's not a very useful junction, and Calvin's not that big of a town. But here we have Calvin and Wetumpka here. So Wetumpka, I think, is a little better. It's maybe like 1,000, 1,500. I know it's not really a big city, but the other options aren't really that logical either, because there's a split in Calvin to get back to the Turnpike, to get to Tulsa, so... But, however, I wouldn't mind Tulsa being on the sign still, but after Calvin, I think they should put Tulsa back on the sign. Here we are in Calvin. We're meeting US 270 East, and then we will be concurrent with 270 West for a brief time. We get another milestone. We get Holdenville, Wetumpka, and Tulsa here. Tulsa 96, so that's pretty good to see. And when they split, 75 goes straight here, 270 goes left. And our next milestone we get with Wetumpka 10 and Henrietta 38. What happened to Tulsa, Oklahoma? Huh? What happened to Tulsa? But at this interchange here, this intersection, we have Tulsa signed here. And, oh, I don't know what to do about this sign. Okay, so Tulsa is on the bottom line. That is good. But we have US 62 Junction 7. Okay, does 75 meet 62? Yes, it does. But you know what 62 shares the pavement with? Interstate 40! You should sign Interstate 40 Junction 7, not US 62! I don't know. But here we are meeting Interstate 40 is side for Oklahoma City going west and Fort Smith going east. So I think those are good choices for Interstate 40, and we will be concurrent with 40 East. However, we don't have any reassurance sign for US 75 or even US 62. Like, you signed Junction US 62 on the mileage sign, but you can't even sign it when you're on Interstate 40, the reason for signing US 62. But after the concurrency with Interstate 40 ends, we have East 62 and North 675 for Henrietta and Okmulgee. Okay, so Henrietta is the town just off of Interstate 40, and Okmulgee is like a slightly bigger town beyond it. We're also meeting the Indian Nation Turnpike for McAllister, Dallas here. So yeah, this is the, like, if you wanted to get here from, say, Durant, you know, you would come up this way to meet this junction, but yeah, I don't know. I think they should replace either Henrietta or Okmulgee with Tulsa. But luckily, our next model time, we do get Okmulgee and Tulsa. And here we are splitting from US 62. We are now signed north for Tulsa, and 69 is signed for Morris and Muskogee. We have the Interstate 44 Junction 23 and Tulsa 30. So from I-40, Tulsa is on the bottom line of the mileage sign, so that's good to see. Here we are meeting the Creek Turnpike, just outside of Tulsa, and 75 North is still signed for Tulsa. And here we are meeting Interstate 44. I don't know why West 44 has a really bad looking shield here. But we have two cities signed on everything, and the 75 North one makes sense. We have Tulsa and Bartlesville, which is the control city after Tulsa. West 44, we have Sapulpa and Oklahoma City. Not sure why Sapulpa is on there. I guess that's because of State Highway 66 here. And 44 East, Claremore, and Joplin. If Joplin's going to be the primary, I don't think we need Claremore on there. Joplin's kind of small enough. Anyway, if we merge onto Interstate 244, we don't have a sign telling us we are, but here we are merging on with it. And we have a first look at downtown Tulsa in the background, and we are now on 75 Northeast 64 Broken Arrow Bartlesville to reflect where 64 and 75 are going. And this is actually Interstate 444, but there's no signage for it. It's unsigned as of right now. I don't know if it'll ever get signed. because it's kind of confusing because you have 244 in here too, and I don't know, it's not a very like long highway, so yeah, I understand why they don't sign it, but here we go for anybody who doesn't know. Going on, 75 and 64 split, 64 for Broken Arrow, and 75 north for Bartlesville. And here's another 444 sign for you. And here's a good look at downtown Tulsa, probably our best look on this road. And here we are meeting 244 again, because 444 does loop back around to it. We don't get a control city for 75 or 244 west, which is a little weird. We have 244 for Joplin, because it's going to meet with Interstate 44. But as we do split off with 244 is signed for Oklahoma City, which is pretty good. 75 north for Bartlesville, which does make sense. Bartlesville is a pretty big city in Oklahoma. I mean, Topeka is a little far, so I understand why they don't sign Topeka yet. So Bartlesville does make sense here. At random intersections, we do have Bartlesville signed. And we have a mile sign. We have just Bartlesville 25. And here is a mileage sign along the route. We have Bartlesville 17, Dewey 20, and State Line 32. Typical for Oklahoma to throw in State Line as a control city. Here we are meeting with US 60 in Bartlesville. We will be concurrent with 60 West for a bit. And when that concurrency ends, we have 60 West for Pawhuska and Ponca City. And we see up on the overpass, we see North 75 Dewey, which I really don't like. Dewey is about like 3,000, 4,000 people, so I understand like why it's signed. But the problem is it's so close to Bartlesville. It's like maybe 4 or 5 miles from Bartlesville. I really think they should just sign something out of state. I'd be fine with Topeka here, honestly, but maybe Independence, Kansas would probably work better. Just because it's a bit closer. It's about 9,000 people, so it's a bit bigger. And plus it's out of state, so I think something like that would probably be better. And coming out of Dewey, we have Caney, Kansas 8 and Topeka, Kansas 170. I'm not sure if this is just a one-off sign, but I do like that they're signing Topeka from so far. And here we are entering Kansas. We see Montgomery County line right here. And in the distance we see Kansas welcomes you, so a pretty decent welcome sign. And here we are meeting with 166, and we're going to be concurrent with it for a while. 166 East is signed for Coffeyville, and 75 and 166 are signed for Independence, which Independence I think works. And here's a mileage sign. We get Independence on the second line, and Arkansas City 70. It's not Arkansas City, as you'd think, but it's Arkansas City, pronounced in Kansas. And 166 West will split for Arkansas City. And our next mileage sign on 75, we have Independence, Neodesha 34, and Yates Center 70. Not too sure about Yates Center yet, but we'll keep going. Here we are meeting with 160, and we will be concurrent with 160 East. And we just get a mileage sign for Independence 1 mile. I don't know about that. And here is when the concurrency with 160 ends. 75 North is for turning left at the stoplight. And we see a look at downtown Independence. It looks kind of cool. And Yates Center is our bottom line control city. I'm not sure about this, and like we'll see in a bit why I'm not sure about Yates Center. Because here, when we meet with US 400, it is now assigned for Topeka and Wichita, which is kind of weird because we're not really close to Yates Center at all, which is kind of strange, and not sure why Topeka is such a bigger font than these other two cities, but I mean, at least it's on there. And we will be concurrent with 400 for a while. So here we get Nebraska 4. Let's see. Fredonia 14 and Wichita 101. So we don't have a control city for 75. They're treating 400 as the primary here, which is kind of a theme on this road. Seems like 75 just kind of gets neglected a lot. We don't really have many control cities for 75. But Wichita is the largest city, so I understand why it's signed. And we don't have an exit for 75. Well, we do have an exit, but we don't have a sign for it. So let me fix that. We got 75 north on the sign. I said Nebraska, Yates Center, Topeka, which I think are all pretty substantial enough cities to sign. Topeka definitely should be on there. You could make an argument for skipping Nebraska or Yates Center. But Topeka should be on the sign because we see here all three of these cities are on the next mileage sign. So Kansas does list Topeka on this mileage sign. And since we're not really that close to Yates Center yet, I think they should probably just sign Topeka instead of Yates Center, probably from Independence, Kansas. However, once Topeka is on the sign, it comes back off. Now we just have Altoona 8 and Yates Center 36. Again, I think they should just stick with their state capital. And now we're on 169 North Detour and 75 here. We see Yates Center still signed on that mile sign in the distance. And here we are meeting with US 54, so maybe that's the reason for signing Yates Center. But still, I think I would prefer Topeka here. And luckily we do get Topeka back on the sign after Yates Center. We got Burlington 22, Lyndon 52, and Topeka 85. Here we are meeting with Interstate 35. 35 is correctly signed for Wichita and Kansas City. And from 35 we have 75 signed for Lyndon and Burlington. Again, I'm not sure about this, but I kind of understand not signing Topeka on 35 just because there would be a lot faster ways to get to Topeka, like 335, because northbound 35 traffic would take that, and then southbound 35 traffic would likely take 70. But, oh my, Kansas, why? Why? We have Lyndon signed. It's 13 miles from here. Like, you can't even sign, I don't know, Burlington, or even better, your state capital. We gotta go with Lyndon here. Somebody hand me a Febreze ball, because this control city stinks! Anyway, next mileage sign we get, we have Lyndon 6, Carbondale 20, and Topeka 32. So, like, again, Topeka's not that far from Lyndon, so... Like, to me, everything north of 35 should be signed for Topeka, because 75 traffic is what's going to be looking for Topeka. Here we are meeting with US 56. 56 is signed for Burlingame and Baldwin City. And we pass over Interstate 335. We don't have a direct connection with it, though. Here we are in the Topeka area. We have West and East 470, which don't have any control cities, and we will be concurrent with 470 for a brief time. Here we have a 470 and 75 reassurance shield, so they're at least doing a little better than Oklahoma with the reassurance shields. And here we are meeting I-70. I-70 West is signed for Salina, and 70 East and 75 are signed for Kansas City. So, pretty decent sign here. I could understand Denver being signed instead of Salina, but Salina is kind of big for Kansas, so I don't have too many issues with that. Here we are with I-70, US 75, and US 40. We have reassurance shields for all those, plus Kansas Highway 4. And when the concurrency ends, we have 75 signed for Holton, which is sort of okay. Like, again, it's tough to say out of Topeka just because the cities coming up are really small. Like, they're about 1,000, 2,000 people each. I wouldn't mind seeing Omaha here personally, but I don't know. Here we are meeting US 24, 24 West for Manhattan, and 24 East for Lawrence. Shout out Control City Freak. See a Lawrence sign. And our first model sign we see after Topeka, we have Hoyt 11, Mayetta 17, and Holton 25. Again, like, I don't know, I probably would just sign Omaha from here just because these cities aren't really that big enough to sign on their own. Especially since, you know, this is a straight shot to Omaha, so I think they should just have that on the bottom of these signs and just move these to secondaries. And along the way, our next control city we get is Junction US 36, so we don't even get a city here, we just get a junction. A little weird. And our next sign after Holton, we have Fairview 26, Sabbatha 34. Again, these cities are a little close to each other. I really think they should just replace one of these with Omaha. And now we just have Sabbatha 5. And after that, we get Auburn, Nebraska 34. Auburn NEB. Don't really know why it's abbreviated NEB instead of NE. And also, what is up with the weird font with, like, NEB right here? Like, why is it so much smaller? And why is it all capitalized? I don't know. But here we are. We're entering Richardson's County, Nebraska. And we see in the distance, Nebraska, the good life, home of Arbor Day. This sign looks like it has a bunch of bullet holes. Like, this sign is in really bad shape, and, like, I don't know, man. Like, home of Arbor Day, like, Control City Freak put it best when he said this is the Benjamin Harrison of holidays. He couldn't be more right about that. Well, surprisingly, the first model sign we get in Nebraska, we have Omaha 87. Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if this is just a one-off sign. And surprisingly, it isn't. We have Nebraska City as a secondary, which I think is okay. And then Auburn was a city sign from Kansas, so that makes sense to be on there. But we also have Omaha 87. This is weird because I was the same mileage as the last sign, but hey, we got Omaha on here at least. Here we are meeting with US 73. 75 is for going straight here. And we are concurrent with it for a little bit. And we have Omaha 81. So Omaha is even signed at a directional sign. That's interesting. Here we are meeting with 136. It will be concurrent with 136 truck route here. And then next model sign we get after Auburn, we have Nebraska City and Omaha. So Nebraska City is definitely a good secondary. But, oh no, where did Omaha go? Nebraska City 11 single line. Okay, well, I suppose if it's just a one-off sign, can't complain too much. But, oh no, we have another one for just Nebraska City for 6 miles. Where did Omaha go? Like, where did your biggest city go, Nebraska? Is it gone? Was it reduced to atoms here? I don't know. But here in Nebraska City, we split for going left here. North 75 is signed for Omaha and Lincoln because of State Highway 2. It's concurrent for a little while. And this is a little weird. We have Lincoln 50, which Lincoln is the capital, so I understand why they're signing it, but it's weird that they're favoring a city on a state highway compared to a U.S. highway. So that's a little weird. And here we are meeting with US 34. It'll be concurrent too with it. And when this concurrency ends, we have Omaha 32 for straight, Union 1 and Lincoln 42 for going left. And along the way, we do see Omaha is signed here. So the concurrency with 34 ends right here, is signed for Glenwood, Iowa. Here we are meeting with 275 for L Street, along with State Highway 92. And now 75 North is just signed for the Kennedy Freeway. So we're getting kind of a Atlanta situation here. We're meeting Interstate 80, 80 West for Lincoln, 80 East for Council Bluffs and Des Moines. So a pretty good sign for 80 here. Council Bluffs is Iowa's weird control city, but they do throw Des Moines on there too, which is nice. And we will be concurrent with Interstate 480 North. It's sound for downtown Omaha and Epley Airfield. Continuing on, we are splitting from Interstate 480. 75 North is now assigned for Event Center Ballpark and Epley Airfield. And here's a nice look at downtown Omaha. Definitely a better view going northbound. And here we are on 480 itself. 75 is signed for the North Freeway. So they're giving the Kentucky treatment to 75. And here we are splitting from the road to take you to the airfield. It is now just signed for 30th Street. Our first control city we see coming out of the Omaha area is Blair, which I think is a good choice because you wouldn't sign Sioux City because you would want to get on Interstate 29 to get to Sioux City faster, so Blair is a sensible choice instead of it. It is on the mileage sign as well, as we meet Interstate 680 right here. On 680 itself, it is signed for 48th Street. And as we get closer to Blair, we do have a mention of Sioux City 83 miles, so that's an awesome sign for Nebraska. Good job there. Here we are meeting with US 30 in Blair, and we will be concurrent with it for a short time. And here is where that concurrency ends. 75 is for turning right here. And our next mile sign we see, we have Herman 10, Takema 17, and Sioux City 73. And another mile sign we have Takema 7 and Sioux City 64. So Nebraska does really good with signing Sioux City, and I hope it stays that way. And our next mile sign after that, we see Decatur 16 and Sioux City 54, but for some reason they have a copy of Peter Gabriel's So album on here, but hey, I want some free music, I'll go and take that. No, Peter Gabriel, why would you leave this on the sign? No. Okay, I know it's not Peter Gabriel that did this. It's, unfortunately, the Nebraska DOT decided to leave this here. You make me want to vomit! 9 and Sioux City 38. So, the SO is an abbreviation for South. And again, that's such a weird abbreviation for that. And also South Sioux City, we're getting kind of a East St. Louis, West Memphis situation here. Because Sioux City itself isn't too far away from South Sioux City, and it's way bigger. So why not just keep South Sioux City off of here and just sign regular Sioux City? However, another mile sign we meet on the way, South Sioux City is on the second line, and Sioux City itself is 27 miles away. See, they're only 2 miles apart, so I don't understand why Nebraska is wanting to sign South Sioux City over it. Seems pointless, but whatever. Here we are meeting with US 77 on the way, and we will be concurrent with 77 North. And our mile sign we see have Dakota City 7 and Sioux City 13. So South Sioux City isn't on this particular sign. However, it is on this sign, and we still have the SO Sioux City, weird abbreviation. And also, speaking of abbreviations, we have Sioux City, Iowa 7 miles. So I guess they gotta remind you that regular Sioux City is in another state if they have their own version of Sioux City on here. Here we are meeting with Interstate 129, and we will be concurrent with it as we split from North 77 up here, and we are also meeting US 20 here, and this exit was requested by the Derpog, so thanks for the request. And we get the control city, or control state rather, of Iowa. So that's a little strange, but I do kind of understand it. And here we are, we have several reassurance shields. We have Interstate 129, East 20, and North 75, and also two I-29, so pretty good reassurance shields right here. Here we are crossing the Missouri River. We see a state line sign right here. And further on, we have a Welcome to Iowa sign. People of Iowa welcome you. So a pretty good welcome sign right here. And we are also meeting Interstate 29. 29 North is signed for downtown Sioux City in a quarter of a mile. So that's good, the sign. South 29 and Business 75 signed for Council Bluffs and Sioux Gateway Airport. Airport makes sense to sign. Council Bluffs should not be there. It should probably be Kansas City, although this could just be a local traffic thing, so I'm not sure. And here we are splitting right here. We have the exit for 29 North for downtown Sioux City. East 20 and North 75 are now signed for Fort Dodge and Lamar's. So I think these are good choices for both roads. And we have Hinton and Lamar's signed. Lamar's 24 miles. And once we get closer to Lamar's, we have Lamar's 6 and Sioux Center 27. So Sioux Center is signed after Lamar's. And on the way, as we split with State Highway 60 for Sheldon, North 75 is signed for 5th Avenue Northwest and Sioux Center. And another sign along the way, Sioux Center, is still signed. And once we are in Sioux Center, we have Rock Valley and Rock Rapids signed as we meet with US 18, and we will be concur with it for a while. And here is that concurrency ending. 75 will continue straight. And once we're in Rock Rapids, we are now signed for Laverne, Minnesota, 17 miles, which I think is a good choice because Laverne is where you meet Interstate 90. And there's not really any major cities past Sioux City, really. So these smaller towns, I think, are okay to sign, at least for now. We'll see along the way what cities I think should be signed. So continuing on, we cross into Minnesota. We kind of ride roughly around the state line for a bit, but we do have a welcome to Minnesota sign right here. It's so hard to see the text, but I do think this is a cool looking welcome sign. Minnesota has some really cool welcome signs, so I like that. I wish their control cities were cooler than their signs, though, but this one's not too bad. We have Laverne 8 and Rock Rapids for going south. Laverne still maintained in Minnesota, so I like that. Here we are meeting Interstate 90. We get the correct control city for westbound of Sioux Falls, but eastbound we get Worthington, which should not be there. That should be Rochester, Minnesota. Even Albert Lee would be a better sign than this. So Minnesota, I don't know what you're doing on 90 East right here. And past Laverne, we have Pipestone as our next control city, which I think is okay. I think this is serviceable enough just because the towns in Minnesota we're going to meet are not that big, so something like this is okay. And here we are in Pipestone, and we are now signed for Lake Benton and Marshall. Not sure about Marshall. Lake Benton is okay as a secondary, but I think this should be Canby or something like that. And along the way, we get Ivanhoe and Brookings.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is!
14 is signed for Brookings, so Ivanhoe is what's signed for US 75. Is that going to keep up? And it does. Why? Ivanhoe is so small, and like, I don't even have a joke for this city. Like, the name speaks for itself right here. But continuing on, Ivanhoe is on the top line, Canby is the second line, and Madison is the bottom line. So Canby and Madison, I think those are pretty good cities to have on the sign. Continuing on, we have Canby 17 and Madison 40, so pretty good for right here. And then we have one of these art easel signs. We have Junction, Minnesota 67.6 and Madison 21. So Madison is maintained. Here we are meeting with US 212, and we see the control cities right here. Madison is still signed for going straight. And past that, we have Madison 5, and since we're getting close to Madison, we have the next control city of Ortonville, Ortonville 31. And Ortonville is still signed at random interchanges. Here we are meeting US 12 up here, and the sign in the distance we see Wheaton is our next control city for 75, and Benson. Okay, I see NC Dot has made their trip up here. And our next model sign is in horrible quality just because this is from 2007. But we do see Wheaton still on the bottom line. And here's another model sign, a little better quality. We have Dumont 10 and Wheaton 17. And after we get to Wheaton, we have Breckenridge 34, which I don't really like just because Wahpeton, North Dakota is right beside it, and it is a bit bigger than Breckenridge. So I don't mind Breckenridge being signed, but make it a secondary and put Wahpeton on the bottom line instead of just a single line for Breckenridge. And once we're past Breckenridge, we see some snow here, which I do really like. In fact, there's a little bit of snow covering this mileage sign, which is a little weird. I imagine it's probably Fargo, since we're pretty close to Fargo now, and this would be a good time to sign it. So let's see some Fargo. Moorhead! Moorhead! No!
Oh no! 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 No!
Why? Fargo is like, I'm pretty sure it's like 1.5 miles away from Moorhead. I mean, yeah, 75 goes to Moorhead. It doesn't really go to Fargo, but come on. Fargo is like 1.5 miles away. You can sign Fargo here. Ugh. And I couldn't find another mileage sign between there and Moorhead, so I just jumped ahead to Interstate 94, which I guess is the main reason for signing Moorhead. Which, again, if you're going to sign that as a secondary, I'd be completely fine with that because it has enough stuff to work off of as being a secondary, as, you know, it's an interstate junction, and, you know, it's a big suburb of Fargo, so I'm okay with it as a secondary if you're going to put Fargo on it. But here at I-94, like, 94 West Fargo, okay, but 94 East Fergus Falls. I know Minnesota likes doing secondary controls, but come on, just sign either Minneapolis, or if you're going to sign something secondary worthy, St. Cloud. St. Cloud would be fine as a secondary here. And here we are in Moorhead. We meet with US 10, and we'll be concurring with it for a while. And as we split, 75 North is now signed for Crookston, which I think is pretty good. It's the last sort of big-ish town that 75 goes through, so I think that's pretty good. And we even see it on the bio sign, 68 miles away, so it's nice to see something that's somewhat far on the US highway in Minnesota. The Dirtbog wanted to see the intersection with Minnesota Highway 200 here on the way up to Crookston. So thanks a lot for the request. And as we get closer, we have Eldred 6, Crookston 16. We meet with US 2, and we'll be concurring with it for a while. 2 is a horrible control city west for East Grand Forks, instead of just regular Grand Forks. And here we are splitting from US 2 along with Minnesota Highway 75. And now we have Euclid 12, Warren 29, and Canada 91. So they do sign Canada, which I think is a good choice from Crookston because there's nothing else substantial in Minnesota between here and the Canadian border, and there's not really anything in Canada to sign. I mean, sign Winnipeg maybe, but then again, you'd be better off on I-29 if you wanted to get to Winnipeg. So I think Canada here works. And to keep it up, Canada is still on the bottom line. And now we just have one line for Canada at 20 miles. And here we are meeting with Minnesota Highway 171. That is the way you would want to go through customs to get to Canada. 75 is not very customs friendly because here we are with another sign. We have two Canadian customs, Emerson I-29 going the left here. And 75 does go through kind of a substandard section before it gets to the customs area on it. And here's the best I could get on Street View. Again, it's from 2007 or 2008, don't remember, but I don't think this Canadian customs area is operational. But here is the somewhat end of US 75. And taking a look at the super verdict northbound, it's a Plano because it's a bigger suburb than McKinney. So I'd sign it first, then I'd say McKinney after that, then Sherman because it's kind of a big town in North Texas, and then Denison after that since it's bigger than Durant. Then Durant after that because you have the famous Choctaw Casino resorts there. Well, it should be US 70 and some other highways, and there's also university there. After that, I'd say McAllister and Tulsa, since it's the fastest way to get to Tulsa by staying on US 69 along with 75, but 75 does split before it, so I'd say Ada, because even though Oklahoma Highway 3 is what takes you to Ada, I think that's worth signing just because the other cities on US 75 aren't really that worth signing either. Then I'd say Calvin / Wetumpka, and then Wetumpka / Tulsa, then Henrietta, Tulsa, because of I-40, then Okmulgee, Tulsa, since it's sort of like a bigger town on the way. Then after that, I'd just say Tulsa, and then Bartlesville, because it's the last sort of big place in Oklahoma. Then I would go to Independence, Kansas. I would not sign Dewey at all. After Independence, I would say Yates Center / Topeka, then Burlington, Topeka, and then just Topeka once you're north of Interstate 35. And then from there, I'd say Holton / Omaha. Holton by itself isn't horrible, but since there's not really big places between Topeka and Omaha, I'd say just sign Omaha along with these places. So then Sabetha, Omaha, then Auburn, Omaha, Nebraska City, Omaha, and then Omaha. And then continuing, I'd say Blair after that because that's the sensible thing to sign. Then Takema, Sioux City, and then I'd just say regular Sioux City. Like maybe South Sioux City as a secondary be okay, but I think just regular Sioux City's fine. Just keep from drivers getting confused. Then I'd say Lamar, Sioux Center, Rock Rapids, Laverne, Pipestone, Lake Benton / Canby, Canby / Madison, Madison / Ortonville, then Ortonville, then Wheaton, Breckenridge / Wahpeton, then Moorhead and Fargo co-signed, then Crookston, and then Canada. And this will conclude our eastbound section, and our westbound section will be continued in part 3. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed.